This is Curious Brain Thoughts.
Hello.
Oh, that was a bit vibrant.
It was very vibrant. I tell you what, I'm not sure doing the podcast in a cave is a good idea.
Let's go out into the daylight.
Okay.
Don't give up your day job and go into
Right.
sound effects is all I'm going to say to you.
Okay, fine. 3, 2, 1. We're outside. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Wow, that was clippity-cloppity in there.
That did not help my headache, I'm just saying.
Soz about that. I didn't realise it was going to be quite so,
It's made my ears go ringing.
Really? Oh, maybe your headphones are really loud. Is that better? A bit quieter?
Yeah,
Can you hear anything?
yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I like it.
How art thou?
No, I'm asking you first.
No, I've already asked you.
Well, I'm not going to tell you until you tell me how you are.
Well, I'm not going to tell you
Okay?
because I asked first.
Well, in that case, we're going to have to move on.
Go on then.
Fine.
Move on then.
Yeah, well, I have. I've already moved on. I'm just so over it.
What are we going to talk about this week then?
God, just get straight to it. Why don't
Well, we're not going to flim-flower around with how are you, so get on with it.
you?
Oh, just one thing to say, dear listeners. The dogs are here.
Good.
Last time they were in here, it was very noisy.
Yeah.
Nigel and Dizzy are having a tug of war currently over a pheasant, not an actual pheasant.
No.
So, just apologies in advance for the hullabaloo that is inevitably going to occur.
You might just hear some fabric tearing in the background. Roscoe was lying under my legs. He's like, what are these two idiots doing?
It's
That's
classic.
It,
It's classic Nigel and Diz energy, if
Classic
I'm going to be
Nige.
honest with you.
Nigel's bum bashing the old microwave. Microwave? Oh my
It's a very good England pull.
And now Roscoe's getting involved.
All right, doggies.
Come here. Wow. It's another good start.
Yes. All right, come on then. Doggies, enough. We're going to stop now. Leave it. Everyone chill. Lie down. Come on. Come on. Good doggies. Lie down. Yep. Nigel, come on. Nigel, please. Come on. Good boy. There we go. Oh. Holy Toledo. Right.
Oh my gosh.
Never work with children and animals.
I wonder what this sounds like to people. Like, we can see what's going on.
Tizzy, leave it.
And
love.
dear listeners are just hearing like dong clang. It could be, it could be a model railway. Maybe that's what it is.
I've just taken a photo, so we can use that as photographic evidence. I'm going to take one of you holding your dog
Yeah, little
like he's a
Roscoe.
massive baby.
He is a big baby.
He's a baby.
Hey, Roscoe.
Oh,
Yeah.
very sweet.
Little Roscocito. He likes to have a cuddle. And it got him out the way of all the carnage.
My dogs have just peeled off into the other room.
Uh-oh. They'll be tearing things apart. Roscoe, do you want to say something? Oh, that was his ear.
Here. So, Paul. Come on, Bosky, up you come. Good boy. He's up here with me on the sofa.
Very nice.
What shall we talk about this week? Have you got an idea, or should we consult the oracle?
Well, I was going to go for the Oracle simply because I powered it up about an hour before you got here.
Oh, nice.
And
What fuel did you use?
Well, I've actually plugged it into the mains.
Have you?
Now,
Cool,
not
blimey.
yeah.
Good luck with your
precisely.
electricity bill.
Well, good news. It's not just my electricity bill.
Oh, yeah?
I've run it into the other 3, 4, 5 neighbours' houses. Not that they know, so we probably shouldn't air this Because
No,
obviously,
and that's also very underhanded of you,
well,
isn't it?
if you're going to leave an outside plug lying around,
What do you expect?
precisely.
You expect people not to abuse it?
Well, yeah, you expect people not to use it. And luckily, because the RTG's got loads of like different adapters on it, it means if like there are some people with electric cars in the neighbourhood, so I can just run an extension lead off of them, and they're like high amps or something or other. So she's purring away.
Okay, great.
Oh dear. Why don't you?
That's
I got trapped under something heavy.
Yes.
Why don't you press A, Le Bouton?
Okay. I am doing that now.
Random theme generator. Random theme generator.
And we're going to talk about hair today. Hair today, gone tomorrow.
Hair. Good. Wow. Hair. Sorry, I just had lots of sensible things come flooding into my head.
I think it's very interesting.
Mm.
I'm looking at a picture. It's a, what's the word? Collage of images of Paul.
You're welcome.
And I'm going to describe Paul's hair through the ages. No, I'm not really. but what I'm tuning into, Paul, is that you've had many interesting hairdos, as have I. I particularly would like to highlight my self-cut mullet, which I had in the 80s.
Oh, it's not on the collage.
It's not on the collage.
Roger.
But it is a, I do have complex PTSD as a result of that self-cut mullet. I was like, I know, I'm going to have a fringe. And so I just cut one.
And that went well.
So anyway, hair, part of our identity.
Yes.
A big piece of self-expression.
Yeah. Well, including armpit hair.
Yeah, body hair, all hair.
All hair, you know. I think obviously the hair that you can see more of is to do with that big part of expression.
Depending on if you are a nudist or not.
Well, that's what I said. The hair that you can see. Didn't I say that?
Yeah, you did, but I'm just saying, for those, what's the word? Anyway, moving on.
Those who like to have the twig and berries out.
So, hair on your head. Let's go for hair on your head to start with.
Good. Talking of hair, the Roscoe is very hairy, obviously because he's a dog, and he's a double doodle, so he is hypoallergenic and he doesn't molt. So if he doesn't have his hair cut, about every 6-7 weeks, it becomes super, super, super curly, and it basically looks like a walking super noodle. And so we have to have it cut frequently because he's absolutely covered in hair.
So on the one hand, he doesn't shed. On the other hand, his coat is super high maintenance.
Yeah.
But you don't have those tumbleweeds of dog hair going through your house, which I very much do.
And he's not overly dusty either, which is weird.
Yeah, that is weird. So all sorts of hairy things.
And you've had your barnet cut recently,
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm just tuning in to how we use the word hair or hairy. So if it was a bit of a close call, you might be like, oh, that was a bit of a hairy one. Wouldn't you? Why is that?
Maybe bollock.
Yeah, maybe. Why would you say?
Hairy. Hairpin. Hairpin bend.
Hairpin bend. But it's shaped like a hairpin.
Yeah, so if it's a bit hairy, is that because like a hairpin bend can be a bit dangerous, treacherous?
Well, we used to say that Mum's gone hairpin bend colour.
Yeah, and there was a definite colour.
Which was a bit puce.
I was talking to her about that the other day, about being hairpin bend colour.
Because Dad would be yeeting round the hairpin bends, and Mum would be
With a
bit,
caravan on the back.
yeah, Mum would be a bit like, "Oh, careful,
We're gonna die.
careful, Chrissy."
Yes, good times, good times. Yeah, because the other thing about hair that I've noticed is that at my age,
Which is you don't have to
no,
disclose. your
it's
age,
24.
Yeah,
Plus or minus some years. Okay,
plus or minus double. No, you're not that. You're not that old.
not that old.
Not that old.
What I've noticed is I used to have very thick hair when I was younger. Really poofy and large. And now my hair is thinned an awful lot to the point where I'm getting a bald spot. A thinning at the back of my swed.
Because you're very tall, people like me who are of shorter stature are unaware.
Yes.
But that is a thing that some men have to contend with, is the thinning / total departure of hair from their swed.
Yes, and it does go elsewhere. So it kind of falls from one's head and lands in other places.
Yes, and then of course, women don't have, excepting alopecia, which is I mean, and that's, really, I find that fascinating, and it's absolutely must be a very, very challenging thing to live with.
Because even eyelashes
Everything.
are considered hair.
I used to work with this woman, and she was going through chemotherapy, and all of her hair fell out, but all of her hair fell out, so she didn't have any hairs up her nose. And I used to say to her, "Oh, T-Dog," because her name was Teresa, and I called her T-Dog. I was like, "T-Dog," and I'd just gesture towards her nose, because her nose would be dripping a lot, and she didn't realise. So I checked it with her. Is that okay for me to point that out? And she said, "God, please," because I could be like having a drippy nose and I wouldn't even notice. So I used to just go, "T-Dog," and then, but it made me realise the functions of all these bits of hair that we've got.
Yeah. It helps to humidify the air.
It's amazing. All these so, but the men have to contend with certain hair challenges, women with others. Like after you've had a baby, so when you're pregnant, your hair doesn't really fall out very much. But after you've had a baby, it all falls out at once. So, and you genuinely, I didn't used to put my hair up at all, even though I had long hair at the time, because my hairline receded so much because huge clumps and handful, so your hair was lush and blah, blah, and then it's all gone. Hair loss is part of, I have an underactive thyroid, and hair loss is part of that, excessive hair loss.
Yeah.
Which thankfully now mine's under control. I don't suffer with, and then your hair going grey, your hair falling out, and because I think part of, and even just having a bad haircut is really horrible. It hits us right in the very core of who we are.
It's funny, isn't it?
It is.
Because I notice sometimes my hair goes how I would like it, which is curly. I like it when it's really curly. And sometimes it goes into these lovely tight curls, and I love it. And I'm like, yeah, great, that's perfect, just how I want it. And then the very next day, doing the same thing, which isn't much, to be fair, and I'm like, bloody hell, it just won't go right. And I'm sure if I said to you, right, pay attention to my hair today and then notice it tomorrow, you'd probably see a marginal, if any, difference.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm going, well, it looks
You're having a
absolutely
bad hair
rubbish.
day
It looks
today.
totally awful.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? The sense that this is an intrinsic part of our identity, our hair. Like my son he's 14, and his hair is long. It's below his shoulders.
Yeah. Very thick.
Very, very, very thick. I mean, your daughter's got extremely thick hair. It's about the same, if not thicker. And that is, that's a powerful choice.
Mm.
When you're a young person, I often think that, like, you don't get to choose very much. You don't get to choose what you wear if you go to a school with a uniform. You don't get to choose who your teachers are. You don't get to choose what time you go to bed. There are all sorts of boundaries around all sorts of things you'd rather there weren't. There's lots of control and boundaries that you have not set. But one of the things you can choose is your hair. And I remember when I was at secondary school, it was the fashion for boys to have longer hair. And the school went into battle with these young people over their hair.
Yeah.
And it was at the time when people were getting their forms ready for university. And, you had to have extracurricular this and the captain of rugby that.
Yeah.
And they said, we won't give any of you any of these things. So they withheld the things that these young people had rightfully earned because they would not cut their hair. They refused.
Yeah.
And it was this battle. And I remember at the time thinking, feeling really sorry for these young people who were being so controlled, but also wondering why it was such a big deal. Why is this such a problem that these young men have got long hair?
I had long hair at secondary school, and because we went to the same school just a number of years apart. And I remember one of the house heads threatening to cut it because the rule was you could have it touching your collar. Sorry, it couldn't touch your collar. It had to be shorter than the collar of your shirt.
So that was a rule only for boys. That didn't apply to girls.
Correct. And so what I did was I grew my hair so that it was, depending on how I was sat, it would absolutely be touching my collar. And if I stood in a particular way, it would be a few millimetres away. And this house head, I've just remembered his name, threatened to cut it. And so I let Mum know. And she went down there with her elbows and was like, you touch your hair on my son's head and you will regret it. And I also had a lovely undercut because you could only have it
Yeah, you did have an
so
undercut,
long.
that's right.
Similar length to Lou's hair at the moment. So I couldn't have it longer than that. Therefore, you couldn't tie it up. So there wasn't much you could do with it unless you had an undercut, and then you could.
So it's just this stamping on young people's self-expression. I just there's a part of me that's like this rebel part of me going, no, fuck you.
That's the E, guys. Right, fuck it. We're going for it.
Like, how dare you? This is my head and my hair. How does it affect my education if my hair touches my collar? It's absolute. So, that really got my goat. But so I think that, giving young people these freedoms to just be able to do whatever they want. If you want to have pink hair, have pink hair. Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what I mean? It just...
I do. So what I ended up doing on the last, within the last week of school, is I shaved my head.
Why?
And because I received so much grief over the time when I was at school for having long hair from the teachers. I used to get, some kids take the piss out of me as well. That and I refused. I absolutely refused. I'm not going to cut my hair just because you're taking the piss out of me, or a teacher's trying to force me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I waited until they would. I made sure that enough teachers would see me with short hair because I got the effect that I was looking for, which was they were irritated. Like, why didn't you just do that? Why didn't you do that like 2 years ago? It's like, gosh, guys, you just don't get it, do you?
Missing the point.
Really missing the point.
It really is interesting how there are some conventions around, girls can have whatever length hair they like.
Yeah.
But boys and men have short hair. So we went to Canada And when we were in the airport, I was with my son, and there was some kerfuffle about our seats. I can't remember. And we had to go over to this lady, and she had his passport, right? His name is not an ambiguous name. It's clearly a male name. And she just didn't even look at any of that. She looked at him and, said, will she be okay? And I'm like, and I just kindly correct people. But
Fucking boy.
exactly. But he said to me when he went into the gents, this is in Canada,
Right.
men would stop him and say, I think that you've got the wrong bathroom. And he felt really uncomfortable about that. Unsurprising. And then and it happened with enough frequency that by the time we got home, he said, Mum, do you think I should have my hair cut? Because everyone thinks I'm a girl. I mean, you just look at the kid. He's clearly not a girl. And I said, well, let's turn that around. Do you want to have your hair cut? He said, well, not especially. I like having long hair. I said, oh, okay, well, I mean, you can choose to do whatever you want, but just reflect on whether you want the opinions of others, most of whom you don't know and will never see again, to dictate what you do, even if it's something you actually, in yourself, don't want to do. And he did think about it, and in the end, he chose not to get his hair cut. But I just thought it's so interesting.
It is, and it made me think of the other side of the coin, which is, for example, I chose to have long hair, and some people took the piss out of me, and I didn't feel good.
No, that's right.
So it's like, okay, well, just as much as you don't want outside opinions to influence what you do, getting, let's say, negative feedback like that doesn't feel good either.
No, exactly. And if you look at, say, somebody with a very, very short, like almost a shaved head, like a skinhead type of, or you look at somebody with a Mohican, like a punk type of hairstyle, it's absolutely true that people make assumptions about who those people are based on the choices they've made about what stuff is on their head or not on their head.
And I suppose, like, vibrant hairdos like that are almost like a caricature statement, in a way. People having, like, electric pink hair. There's a reason why they're doing that. One, they might like the colour, they might... there could be lots of meaning behind it or whatever else. And you're also really going to stand out.
Yeah.
Whether you want to stand out or not. Walking around with a mohawk that's brightly coloured. Noah, my youngest, has been watching this. Like, it's practically a documentary called Cobra Kai. It's all about Karate Kid.
Wax on, wax off.
Yeah, well, it's Karate Kid. Daniel LaRusso, who was the main character in Karate Kid. It's them as adults, and now they're setting up anyway, long story. And it's almost like a caricature, like some of the haircuts in there. And there's a lad who's got a bright red mohawk. Yeah.
It is interesting, isn't it? And how, we can make ourselves feel better by having a nice haircut, or make ourselves feel dreadful if we have
if it's really like,
it's not what you want.
With short haircuts, they show much quicker when they're untidy.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And then, the whole going grey thing, and there's lots of feelings and expressions of who we are tied up with the hair on our heads.
Because I've got a badger stripe in my beard.
Yeah.
A lovely grey badger stripe. And so, am I bothered about it? No, not really. Does it make me... I wonder if it makes people think I'm a bit older. Maybe it does. In principle, though, who's just being accosted by Dizzy. In principle, it doesn't really bother me at the moment.
No,
And it might do one day.
maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe. And there's this whole thing. Stop it, guys. No, enough. Sorry, the dog's having a play fight. Leave it. Dizzy? No. This gendered thing around it's okay somehow for men to have grey hair, but not somehow for women to have grey hair. And then there's been this whole women reclaiming the grey type of thing, and this perception of that women have to present as youthful and so on, whereas there's this whole silver fox vibe for guys, which isn't available for women. So yeah, it's so interesting. So there's a cultural element, a patriarchal element.
Yeah.
It goes through all the layers, right from our identity all the way to the very top of, and then you look at different cultures and like, I don't know, dreadlocks and how that can signify your beliefs.
Yes.
Or if you're a Sikh and you wear a turban.
Yep.
Etc. Etc. Etc.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. French plaits.
Guys, enough.
Oh.
Dizzy, no.
Oh.
Leave it.
Roscoe's being referee.
All right, guys. No, Nigel, leave her. I'm so sorry. My dog started play fighting. Roscoe was like, that's enough, which is fair. That was a bit of a contretemps. Sorry about that.
Is that because I said French plaits?
Yes.
You're just trying to show off more French?
C'est vrai. That's French. You might not understand that. So yeah, it's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
Like beards as well. I mean, it's... People frown upon women having beards.
But actually, if you've got polycystic ovary syndrome, an overgrowth of hair on your face is absolutely normal, and it's savage.
Yeah.
And that, the original bearded lady, the freak show in the circus, there is, obviously a very strong likelihood that this person back in the day had undiagnosed PCOS. No one knew it was a thing. But that's why these women have facial hair. There's a woman, actually. I saw that, that woman, Stacey Dooley. She does Stacey Dooley Sleeps Over.
Right.
This little series, and she goes and stays with people. There's this woman, she's...
Has she got anywhere else to go? She's sofa surfing.
She is a young woman in the UK who has a beard because of PCOS, and she's Asian, and she's refused to... I think she's of Indian origins. I can't remember her family history, actually. I mean, she's British, but the point is that in her community, culture and religion, that is not okay.
What, to have a beard? Mm-hmm.
For a woman to have a beard. And the hate that comes her way from all over the place, because she is showing up and saying, this is me, get over it type of thing. The hatred she gets, to the point where, because she still lives at home with her parents and her family, she said, it isn't actually safe for us to film this episode at my house. People will be able to work out where I live.
Wow.
They had to film because the woman's got a beard.
That's ridiculous.
Isn't it, though? People
is
really care about hair,
Yeah.
as it turns out.
Yeah.
Why? Because she's not conforming to some... and it's a real thing, facial hair on women. It's a real...
Well, Mum has some.
Yeah, she does. I have some.
Yeah, I mean, there's like the finer sort of down, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Mum does have some proper whiskers as well.
Yeah.
Or like has done for
Years.
Forever, yeah.
But in recent years, she's stopped doing anything about them. And she's just allowed them to just be there. Fair play. She's in her 80s. She's a full-time carer.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's got other things to worry about.
She really does.
Other shit on her plate. It is mad, though, isn't it? How hair... So then, I think it's it is so connected to all these biases. And so what just popped into my head was like mods, skinheads.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that means you're part of the National Front, or, you know, a neo-Nazi. Right, skinheads are dodgy. Watch out for them.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone with a skinhead, just be warned. And then you couple that with how they dress, how people dress.
Yes.
You know, and you can draw very, very, very different conclusions.
You can. You absolutely can. I find it really fascinating. So
It's almost like if you've got luscious hair and it looks whatever, then maybe there's a primal aspect to it as well, because then it's like, oh, well, you must have good genes or something. If you've got good hair, it's an outward sign of you might be somebody good to mate with. And
yeah, maybe. Maybe.
You know what I mean, though? It's like,
yeah.
oh, right, of your virality and your...
Yeah, maybe. And then, you know, this image of a female with long, luscious locks.
Yeah.
And I used to look around me when I was younger and think, God, what happens? Do women at a certain age get like sent a memo to all get their hair cut short? Like, what's going on? But now I am in my 50s. I have realised that, well, there's a thing called the menopause. And it fundamentally affects your hair. And so if you can have long hair.
Yeah.
And some people, a friend of mine, her mum has got, you know, the most beautiful mane of long grey hair. It's absolutely stunning. It's really long and it looks beautiful. And a lot of women find that they can't grow their hair very long, or that it looks straggly when they do, so they cut it shorter. And it's just, you know, it's so interesting. Different phases of our lives allow us to have different experiences.
And if you see, you know, just thinking about how you can make conclusions about people. Judgments, which is a previous episode, guys.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yes.
You know, you look at somebody's hair, like someone with long, maybe blondish or like not straw colour. I don't know if that's a term. Long, sort of wavy, slightly maybe curly hair. Well, that's a bit hippie vibe. Particularly if it's just like free and it's not tied up in some particular way. Or, you know, because just thinking about what you were saying about menopause, there's someone I know who is on the other side of that, who has hair like I've just described.
Yes.
She's a very slim woman and she's got this lovely long hair. It's really, really lovely. And evidently that's not something that's, maybe it has been, impacted by menopause. And she's, you know, for her, she often has her hair down. It looks very nice.
Yeah, lovely. The other thing I'm thinking about is, certainly in the UK, in our culture, ginger hair. And how that is a pejorative term.
Yeah. A ginger whinger.
And there's this comedian called Tim Minchin, and he's written a song called Only a Ginger Can Call Another Ginger Ginger. And it's I encourage you to look it up on YouTube if you haven't seen it. It's really funny. But there's a serious side to it, which is people who have ginger hair experience, and I know we're talking about hair here, there are lots of other prejudices out there.
Yeah.
Obviously, which are, you know, we're not saying that that's better or worse or whatever, but it's fascinating to me that the colour of somebody's hair.
Yeah.
She's a blonde bimbo.
Yeah.
Blonde bombshell. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what?
A grey ghost.
A
ginger nut.
So, yeah, hair. Interesting.
Thankfully, we steered clear of lots of other hair.
That's a maybe.
One's head is
It's
Fine.
enough. I think
It's
it's
enough.
sufficient.
Sufficient.
Yes.
Totally with you.
Hirsute sufficiency.
Mm. Hair suit.
Yes, well, indeed.
Hair suit. Can you imagine?
Well, you get a hair shirt,
Mm.
which is a self-flagellation thing, isn't it?
Mm. Lovely. Which makes me think of going to the barbers. There's nothing bloody worse. It gets, for me, it gets literally everywhere. Literally, and I think barbers, but just pay attention for this bit, right?
Don't they put a cape around you?
Yeah, and if it's not, like some places have like these stretchy, disposable neck collars,
Yes.
and then they put the cape around you and then fold that paper
Over.
thing over the
Yeah.
what's it? Because the issue is the gaps.
Yes, of course.
Oh my days! And with it being shorter hair, you get like tiny little bits of hair literally everywhere. Like if I had a clean pair of jeans on and went for a haircut, obviously I'd never do that because I can feel the hair in like down my trouser legs, like pricking at me, and
Ew.
yeah, nasty.
Very.
Mm.
So, cautionary.
Cautionary tale
There we are.
of one's haircut.
Yes. So, listen, Paul, I think I'm off to brush my hair.
Excellent.
And
I'm going to get a haircut
please, if you wouldn't mind.
at some point.
Best wishes.
Kind regards.
Curious Brain Thoughts.